And we're live, everybody. Welcome one more time. I don't know how many of you are watching me because today, we're using the different YouTube channel, and it's gonna be different. I did this on my main YouTube channel a few times, and I think I messed up the algorithm, so we're not gonna do that anymore. Um, it's um, we're recording episode 304 of the Living the RV Dream podcast that, as many of you know, I've been doing for a while. The lighting is strange today. This monitor is too bright, but does anybody know if StreamYard has a dark mode? In any case, we have here the RV DJ, our bartender and DJ, and I'm gonna start recording the podcast here in a few minutes here, and we may do like a Q&A at the end. The theme for today's episode, I thought it would be a good idea. Hold on, let me start closing things here because I have a bunch of files open except the one that I need. So I should come more prepared, right? I created a nifty Word document with the things that I want to talk about. And the theme for the show is going to be when things don't go as planned. And if you have any stories from the road about things that don't go as planned at the end of the show, with it's going to be like in about 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to open, I'm going to drop the link um, in the chat. So and we have some people from Facebook like uh, Chandra Shaker Bangalore, hello and good afternoon, hello there. And the trailer traveling, hello there, Gord. And well, I'm gonna start recording right now because I could keep going here forever. And I'm glad you all discovered a my my other YouTube channel here. We did this for a while. This channel doesn't even have 1,000 subscribers, but hopefully we can change that. So yeah, if you're here for the first time, you go to the YouTube channel, Living the RV Dream, which we are broadcasting live right now, and subscribe. Here we go. You're not gonna be able to listen to the music because today I'm keeping it simple, but here goes nothing. And this is the episode that is gonna come out on the podcast tomorrow at 6 a.m. So here we go. This is Living the RV Dream, episode 304 for Friday, December 15th, 2024. 23. We're still in 23. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here today. Hello, happy campers. Hello, Pelican heads and happy travelers around the world. Full timers, part timers, boondockers, van dwellers, weekend warriors, schoolie builders, tent campers. I mean, as long as you have, um, even if you don't, welcome to the show. We're a traveling show more than an RV show, even though it's called the Living the RV Dream. And today I have a theme that I wanted to talk about things, mishaps that have happened to us on the road. And by the way, for those of you listening on audio on Friday, we're recording this before a live audience on three different platforms. We are live on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Traveling Robert. And if all goes well, this is something that we're gonna be doing, recording live on Thursday at some point, noon, early afternoon. It's gonna be a moving target for now. And we are, of course, on my old Living the RV Dream YouTube channel, which has been dormant for about a year, but I'm reviving it. And then we're also broadcasting live on, I still like to call it Twitter. I mean, it's called X now. I know Elon wants to make X like the everything app, but we're on Twitter just because we can. And now we're gonna answer some of your questions here, and then um, I am going to some from Facebook and some from YouTube. I don't think I can read any X, but we can do like a lot of streaming here, even Twitch. So we might do some of that even in the future. Alden R. Moyer asks, and this is the $20,000 question: what your next journey? Well, to be honest, long term, I don't know. I have many plans for this coming year. And the only plan that is written in stone is two things, actually. Not written in stone because anything can happen. And that's the theme of today's episode, when things don't go as planned. But the main thing we're going to do, of course, in January, we're doing the Florida RV Super Show. Which I have to look at my calendar here. I have Google assisted memory these days because I can't remember things. But the Florida RV Super Show is going to be from Wednesday. Well, Industry Day is the 16th, but from Wednesday, January 17th through Sunday the 21st. So if you're going to be there, most likely we're going to have a meetup at the Winnebago booth, and that's going to be on Thursday afternoon, I believe, from 2 to 4. But just pencil it in because this is not confirmed. So that's the main plan. And then the second plan is the total solar eclipse, which is also, I don't know exactly when we're leaving or when we're returning, but the solar eclipse, I believe, happens like in early April. Where is it? April 8th. April 8th in the morning, and we have a reservation in Texas, but we'll see if we can do it somewhere else. And I do have this penciled in winter in Alaska trip, so we'll see. Um, so without further ado, let's start talking about things that don't go as planned on the road. And I'm gonna give you all. If you've watched my videos from the beginning, you have probably heard of this, over the years. Which, by the way, our friend Jim Forey is here watching us live on Facebook. Quick hi, must go outside to work. It's warmer, upper 40s. LOL. Sure hope you can go to Florida. We can go to Florida next month. Yeah, man. You have to come back to Florida. It's been a while for you. So here we go. And some of the things that have happened to me along the road that weren't planned or were setbacks in our travels. Let me make sure we're recording here. Yes, we are. And the first one, of course, of RV life, we're going to just only going to talk about RV life here, was, of course, when old Kia died back in 2017. We were going, I was going, no, 2018. I apologize. Years are a blur sometimes. By the way, yesterday it was our and for those of you listening on audio, was 2 days ago, was my 35th anniversary of arriving in the United States. And for some of us, that's a date that is almost more important than our birthday, because it's like a rebirth, getting here. So Mishap Old Kia, of course, died in Mooresville, North Carolina, back in 2018. I was going to the I went to this mechanic to get it ready, because old Kia was 150,000 miles. It was getting up there. I put new tires. I told him, do a whole tune up, make it like new again. And something happened at that mechanic that, as memory serves, they dropped something in the engine. They fire up the engine and they killed that engine. They had to put a new engine on that vehicle, and that engine never worked properly. So yeah, I'm 5 days late. I'm beelining it to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Like the idea was to do it like in 2 days or 2.5 days. Driving all day. I actually that day that the car was ready, it was ready like at 3 p.m. and at 5 p.m. I was hitching up, and I'm like, I'm gonna drive until I can't do it anymore. I slept at the Cracker Barrel in Vero Beach, and the vehicle was running properly. But then as we're crossing into Georgia, it starts to misfire and this and that. And I even put one of those OBDC readers for the computer, and it says cylinder 5 is misfiring or something like that. And by the time I started hitting the mountains, getting up after Mooresville, North Carolina, it was evident that old Kia wasn't going to make it. So I returned to it was a chain, so it was under warranty. It was a Firestone. It was a chain, so I left it there, and I thought it was going to be something simple, and I would be able to get on the way and still make it to the first day of the Hershey RV show. And of course, the rest is history. And this was the biggest mishap, right? Because it took like 3 days. I was boondocking at the parking lot, of the Firestone parking lot, for 3 days. The hurricane was coming, and eventually, Firestone was able to rent me a truck so I could get to Hershey. I told him, this is basically a business trip. I'm going to the Hershey RV show to cover it, and this and that. And but the most amazing thing about that experience was the and back then, I had a fraction of the following that I have now, but still the outpouring of support, and not only moral support, like financial support. This guy Richard Lima, he was a local. He had full hookups at his house, so he offered me to stay at his house. Um, our friend the Woods, they invited me to dinner one night at the restaurant. They're walking distance, and so many people from around the area, that offer to tow me to their place, or all kinds of support. So that was one of the first times that I realized how many friends I had out there. And how great people really are, and how willing to help each other. So that was great. Eventually, I got to Hershey, to the last day of the Hershey RV show. Even our friend Red Jaguar Herbie, he had made a reservation for me right next to him at the KOA at Elizabethtown, which is like half an hour from Hershey. And we really lost all those first days of reservation, but that last day we got to hang out, and that was the biggest, like one of the biggest mishaps. Mishap number two that I have here written down was that one time at band camp. Now that one time, I'm coming back from the west on I-40, and I wanted to do a portion of Route 66. Little known to me is that Route 66, it's not really there anymore in many areas. So I'm by this time, I think it was either Twin Arrows or Two Guns. I think it was Two Guns, which is one of those ghost towns along old Route 66. And I see, I was saving data because I didn't have an unlimited data plan. This was early days. This was early 2018, still with old Kia. And I look at the map and I see, Route 66, it keeps going. So I should have looked at satellite view, because if you look at satellite view, you realize that Route 66 that showed on the map wasn't really a road. So that road started getting worse. I mean, it was like a dirt road at the beginning, normal, and it started getting worse and worse and worse. And before we half an hour later, there's no road. I'm just driving on grass, and I could have turned easily. Especially old Kia had a great turning radius, but we had two wire fences on both sides of that road that wasn't a road anymore. Well, you remember that movie Austin Powers, where he's trying to get the golf cart, to make a U-turn on that narrow hallway. Well, that's what it felt like. Eventually, I was able to make a U-turn without jackknifing too much, but it was one of the first scary moments that I had on the road. Other things that have happened that I haven't really shown on video. Sometimes you get sick on the road, and it's especially when I was by myself. You get sick on the road, and it's not pleasant, and you have to stay put for a couple of days. And that happened. That's happened once or twice along the way. Nothing too serious, but serious enough to get me worried to have to take care of it. And of course, for those of you on the chat, if you have any anecdotes of mishaps on the road, I'm gonna read those in a few here. So do comment on the chat, either Facebook or YouTube, and I'll get to them. I'll start them and get to them in a few minutes here. What something else that happened once, I was at Tallulah Gorge State Park, which is the gorgeous place in Georgia. If you're ever in, like, I guess that's like central eastern Georgia, it's still in the mountains. Go there, but I'm exploring I didn't even unhitch when I was there. This was that one last night before I got to go to our relatives' house there in Ackworth, Georgia. And Ely was flying from Miami into Georgia, into Atlanta International, and And I'm exploring the park, killing time because Illy doesn't show up until like 2 p.m. or something like that. And at one point, I hit a dead end, and I'm like, "Oh, I have to make a U-turn." So you start backing up, and there was a side road where you could go up, but I didn't go up enough. And you should always. And this is a major rule for RVing, especially if you don't have a backup camera. This was Minitini one early days. I didn't have a backup camera, so goal, the word gold, go out or get out and look. And I didn't go. So I dropped Mini-3 into a ditch. I was able to get it out. I mean, there was this big rock. So luckily, two folks, were there, and they helped me. They directed me on how to get out of that pickle. But eventually, I got out. I blew a tire, but at that point, blowing a tire was the least of my concerns. And then, of course, I went to a tire shop, and well, long story short, I never made it to the airport to pick up Illy. Luckily, my brother-in-law was there, and he went to pick her up, and then I showed up at the house eventually, with on a positive note, with a brand new set of tires. But that was another a big mishap that happened. And and of course, with all these mishaps, you learn. Then there was that time that I was in Iowa, and there was this type of storm that we don't really know about here in Florida, but um, it was it's called a derecho. And luckily, our friend Steven from Des Moines, he called me, he texted me, I believe, and he told me, "Hey, be careful. There's a big storm coming. It's gonna be bad." And it was bad. And wasn't it for that call from Steven? It could have been bad, because I saw when I drove there past it, I saw a lot of overturned a lot of overturned semi trucks on that road on I-80. So luckily, I had planned to have lunch with some other viewers in Iowa City. And and what I did, after I heard that, I parked it, facing west, so it would be kind of the most aerodynamic position to be on. And I left the camera on the roof going, and that was a heck of a storm. That was like a 5 minute hurricane, or 10 minutes. It lasted 10 minutes. We lost power. It was pretty bad. But some things that had I gone according to plan, I probably would have kept going towards Des Moines, and hmm, it would have been bad. Um, Another thing that I didn't plan for. And I kind of knew this, but I thought there would be another way. And this was when we went to the Northeast 2 years ago. We went to Vermont and New Hampshire, and to see the fall colors. We didn't quite make it to Maine, but on the way back, I was going through that would be Connecticut, and then into Long Island. I was bent on taking the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, because the view of Manhattan to the right there, that would have been epic, which it was. But what I didn't realize, and of course, Google kept taking me through this other interstate that it would be impossible to get on the. And Google thinks I'm talking to it. No, Google, I'm not talking to you. Hold on. What was I saying? Where was I? Well, long story short, the only way to go the way that I wanted to go would have been a parkway, and commercial vehicles or RVs or anything high clearance is not allowed on the parkways in New York or New Jersey. So that one, yeah, I had to drive on the truck route, which goes straight through the middle of the Bronx. So how many RVers can say that they've driven their RV in the Bronx? Or no, Brooklyn, not the Bronx. I'm sorry. They both start with a B. So um, Lisa says losing your drone in the ocean. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. Uh, but it didn't really change our plans all that much as some of the other mishaps we've had on the road. So that one was one of those. And before I keep going, I'm gonna read some of your comments here and some of your mishaps. And Colleen Mraz from writing on Facebook says, we had a blowout on the I-4 Polk County 40 minutes after picking up our newly purchased used Class C motorhome. 85-degree weather, generator not working, stuck for 7.5 hours on the side of the highway. Yeah, and changing a tire on a Class C motorhome is not as trivial as changing the tire on your Kia, you know. So yeah, that must have sucked. And I'm sorry the generator wasn't. Yeah, the thing with the RV, if everything is working, it doesn't really matter. You're stuck on the side of the road. Yes, somebody could rear end you potentially, but at least you have your bathroom and you can make yourself some dinner, and well, in Florida, you need the air conditioner pretty much year long. So anyway, Richard Chubb, also coming from Facebook. I'm broadcasting this on the Traveling Robert Facebook page. If you're not a member of the page, or like just go to the page and like it. Um, Richard says, "Hi Robert, our mishap. We're camper van owners. Hired a bigger van for one trip. 8-year-old son got sick. Hired the van. Spent 3 nights in hotel car park." As we were 6 hours from home and needed to stay in hotel until he stopped being sick. 20 plus times in about 5 hours. Not nice for him. As part of the travel experience. Yeah, it's all part of the travel experience, and it goes to show you have to be kind of flexible when it comes to things that like that. Sometimes it doesn't happen as you planned, and yeah, did I put that on the screen? No, I did not. But in any case, that was one of those. Talking about things that didn't go up to plan. We were in Talkeetna, Alaska, last summer, and we wanted to take this plane ride. I mean, we reserved it way in advance, and it was ridiculously expensive. But when you are there, you have to do certain things. And this plane ride that goes around Peak Denali, the mountain, the tallest mountain in the Western Hemisphere, no, in North America. And there's I think Aconcagua in South America is higher than Denali, but and then it lands on a glacier, and we really wanted to do that, and it rained for 3 days nonstop. And I tried to be 3 days nonstop inside Menitini 4, which is great for adventure travel, but it's tight in there. It's cozy. Let's put it that way. And okay, this one time I got stuck in the sand on the Outer Banks with the Colorado. Maybe Starship would have made it out of there with the Ford Low, but the Colorado had two-wheel drive, and I'm like, yeah, let me pull off the side of the road here. I'm like, old, chill and cool. Let me pull off the side of the road because we have some great views. I'll climb on top of the sand dunes and see the ocean. And that side of the road was very soft sand, and I noticed immediately. So I tried to get back on the road. I had some momentum, but there was so much traffic that they really wouldn't let me back in. And as much as I tried to keep my momentum, I was going like what, 40. Nope. I got stuck in the sand, and luckily, there's always a good Samaritan that comes to your rescue. And there was this guy, I didn't even have like a tow a strap, but he had a tow strap, and he got me out of there. So did you guys know about the poop incident? Well, I was coming back from the Winnebago Grand National Rally, and as you know, they have a honey wagon service there to dump your tanks. So we stayed there for like a week. We had to dump the tanks at some point, so we got the honey wagon, and of course, for us the ambassadors, it's very nice of Winnebago to do that, and but what happened? These guys are in a hurry, and apparently, when they were shutting the black valve, they bent the valve, the pulley thing, and it didn't close all the way. And I didn't know. I arrived at this campground near Hannibal, in Hannibal, Missouri, and I'm like, let's chill out. It was a very nice. It was a bat cave, I think it is called, It was a very nice campground, and I'm like, let's unhitch, let's take a long shower and go, explore Hannibal a little bit. And when I opened the sewer cap, what came out, I do not want to remember. Ever since then, I bought, and you learn from all these experiences. And I think this is, I've been trying to do like a top 10 things for RVers, which I don't think I'm going to do. But there's an extra valve that you put at the end there with an extra, one of those guillotine valves, and it prevents you from, and it has a transparent part, so if something, if you have leakage of any kind, and that's like another step of extra step of protection, so you can just take your cap and have time to put your hose so you can uh, do your business. um, Let me and Jim Forey on Facebook, I have found that out that when things go wrong, causing a change of plans, we often have been saved from something that could have been worse. Sometimes just poor planning, and we learn from that too. Yeah, and that's the thing. All these are like, of course, negative things that the trip doesn't go as planned, but you learn from all of them. You learn to be flexible. You learn to make a change of plan. And had we not had reservations in Anchorage, we probably should have stayed in Talkeetna 2 more days and wait for the weather to clear up. But of course, Anchorage, I was nervous about not being able to find a RV park, so we made reservations in advance. So another Alaska mishap that we had was on the Dalton Highway, which is the northernmost road there, the most remote road in North America, I think, or one of the most. And well, first of all, we had a problem. I forgot to turn off, which I didn't turn it off before, but now in hindsight, we're probably gonna turn off our water pump whenever we are en route. And it's a very bumpy road, and the faucet in the sink opened up a little bit. So we were, when we stopped at this pull out, I hear the water pump going, and I went in real quick, but we had at least lost like our half of our fresh tank, and we had filled up our gray tank more than halfway. So and there are no dump stations, and with you follow the guide, and according to the milepost and the Dalton Highway guide put out by the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, there's a dump station at Dead Horse. At the northernmost point of that dump station was closed. So a trip that we would have enjoyed more, we would have probably spent at least 1 or 2 more days in the Arctic. We have to kind of beeline on the way back because our holding tanks were full. We couldn't shower. I was even afraid to go to the bathroom, like um, because it was full. Luckily, we found the dump station, which, by the way, that dump station that we found out that I had closed down weeks after, just because of I don't know, so it broke. So someone must have dumped something in there. This is a very remote area of the world, and the number one uh, mishap that had things that didn't go as planned. Well, I broke a leg, and Illy cut a finger in Quartzsite last January, and I had this master plan. We were gonna go to California, see the intaglios, and do like maybe the 395 again. Go to Sacramento. We were gonna do so many things on that trip after the Q23 meetup in Quartzsite, and all that went down the drain when I had to I think this is the longest I've been at a single campground in Vegas. I was bored out of my mind already, because you're in Vegas but you cannot enjoy Vegas. I'm stuck in the RV with a boot and crutches. So yeah, that was sometimes it's the same. It goes together with getting sick on the road, having an accident on the road. And it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. I was still able to I mean, I didn't know I had a fracture for 5 days. I was walking, for 5 days, walking and partying, and it hurt a little bit, but I didn't pay much attention to it until then. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. If anybody wants to come on screen and say hello and tell one of your mishaps, I'm dropping a link here on the chat. But let me just excuse me. Let me just read some of your comments here. Jimbo on Facebook. I hope to go RVing soon, like you folks. I'm watching the 2019 trip around the USA. He's in Yellowstone now. Yeah, that was one of the biggest trips I ever did. Um, we started, we did it. We even did it. We started with a meetup in Texas, but then I always wanted to go to VidCon in Anaheim, California, which wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but it was still an experience, and I learned certain things that I applied later. It's there are many conferences and all that, and I spent like a month in California. I think this is besides Alaska, this is the longest I've been in a single state. Gord, trailer traveling. We turn off the water at the campsite whenever we leave the trailer after an incident with a dripping faucet filled the gray tank and our shower flooded. Oh no, yeah, that's by the way, another tip: always have a water pressure regulator with you. It was at Lake Tobisovsky, I think, in Georgia, near Macon. I was camping there, and apparently the water pressure was very, very high, and there was a leak, which eventually I caught it and I cleaned up, but that did happen, and it wasn't fun. And it was hot at Lake Tobisovsky. The RV DJ keep the pump off until we need it. Then we put a hairband on the faucet handle to keep any residual water from coming out. That's a good idea. And DC Corzio, at least now Ili can drive the RV. Well, that was a crash course in towing for Ili, for sure. But she did great. She did great, and she is smiling here. She's watching on Facebook, monitoring the chat here, and well, we have Jimbo here. So Jimbo, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly. Any anecdotes from mishaps on the road?
I haven't RV'd yet, Robert. I'm learning from you right now what everything you do.
Well, I'm glad you are. Are you planning on getting an RV anytime?
I am. My wife and I are going to buy a used one and try it out, and then when she can retire, we're going to just go ahead and sell our house and hopefully go full-time RVing.
Wow, yeah, that's when the fun begins. When you buy the first RV, it feels great. We did it back in 2014, and I don't regret it one bit. It was almost an impulse buy, but yeah. So, are you thinking of getting a trailer or a Class C, Class A for full timing?
I've been watching. I've watched a lot of your expos you went to, and I don't think we're going to do the Class C. We're leaning towards either an A or a pulling a trailer like you do. Mm-hmm. I haven't decided yet. I like the idea of being able to unhitch your truck and go around.
Yes, especially if you want something a little bigger than a camper van, something that is not going to be your daily driver. That's always very convenient, and you get to explore. And if you have a 4x4 truck, you can pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah, I was surprised your Colorado pulls that. Another thing is, I look at sounds funny, but I look at the toilets in these RVs, and I want a regular, real toilet.
Yeah, that's like a regular flush toilet. I don't know if they make them for RVs. I don't know if there's a way to retrofit that. The main thing is they probably use too much water, right? So you don't want to fill up your gray tank as quickly.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, at least try to get a porcelain toilet, because these plastic toilets, they're hit or miss.
You were looking at in Yellowstone, and someone had one of those, what is it, the RV America ones, and you said you don't like it because it's a wet bathroom. which I assume that's when you take a shower while you're sitting on the toilet or something.
Yeah, it's just one room, and everything everything gets wet. That's what they call it, a wet bath, right?
Where do you put the toilet paper then?
Usually they have like an oops, I hit my microphone. Usually they have like an enclosure, a waterproof enclosure that
Yeah.
has like a curved cap, so it keeps it dry. And usually
Sorry,
they have it like a curtain, so you don't get everything wet, but still, it's just one room. They're uncomfortable, and
I'm sorry for the dog barking. My parents chirping. There's an ambulance. Someone's delivering a package.
nah, not a problem. All right, Jimbo. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Anything else you wanna say for the podcast?
Oh, I got lots of questions to ask you, but I'll do that privately.
No, I
I
think
just enjoy
we
your
can do
show.
we can do one here on the air, and then we'll start wrapping it up.
We can do one now.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just curious. What did you career-wise did you do before you went RVing? And I think you're full-time RV. You don't have a job anywhere else after that, do you?
Well, my job is YouTube, and trust me, I'm probably working longer hours than I did when I had a day job. But yeah, this is what I do full time. I've done several things, and I did go to college for TV production, and I just never actually, worked on it. Sometimes in college they teach you a lot of stuff, but they don't teach you the practical stuff. But besides being a musician, I was also, as a part time, I was a musician for many years, and then I had jobs even at TV stations, but just like office jobs. It was decent paying job, but nothing creative. So eventually, I had to have to exercise those creative muscles, and thanks to YouTube and all you guys, I'm able to work doing what I love, or
That's
yeah.
awesome. It shows too, and I really appreciate you doing it.
All right. Well, thanks, Jim, and
You're welcome.
have a nice day.
You too.
All right, everybody. I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I think this went well. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be doing the podcast this way for the foreseeable future. I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast earlier, and for those of you joining us later on the stream here, this is the recording for my Living the RV Dream podcast, which I started in 2017. This used to belong to a gentleman and a lady, John and Kathy Huggins, and she had some health issues. They had to stop full-time RVing, and they gave the podcast to me, and I've been doing it ever since. And I started doing these streams on my main YouTube channel, but I think I messed up the algorithm a little bit. YouTube doesn't really like when you do different things like that. So I'm going to start doing it on the Facebook page and on my other YouTube channel. And maybe I can put a link to my other YouTube channel so you guys. Actually, I'm going to put how do I do that? Maybe I shouldn't do that here live on the air. Should I? Here we go. View channel. This is, and go ahead and go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, because this is where I'm going to do a lot of the podcast videos when I do videos. And next week, I think we're going to do an interview, so it's definitely going to be video. And until then, for those of you listening, thank you so much for listening. For those of you watching, thank you for watching. And see you on the road, because we are living the RV dream and loving the RV lifestyle, because I'm free in my RV. Let me stop recording here and hit save, just in case. And hey, this traveler, it's like Robert's old days, easy to watch and enjoyable. Well, it's no longer easy to watch, no longer enjoyable. Anyway, the RV DJ, see you tomorrow. Ta-da, all done. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, we're doing the regular live stream at 6 p.m. I don't think I'm gonna do a mini teeny lounge this week. We're gonna save that for next week. But I hope you're enjoying these lives on Facebook. I think we got a lot more people on Facebook than on YouTube. I'm gonna look at the stats later, but of course, this YouTube channel it's nascent. It's I started it when I started the podcast, but really we only have 606 subscribers. So I'm hoping that we'll grow that and then make it on the podcast. See you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on my main YouTube channel. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your Thursday. End stream.